Okay, I'm going to get us going here. Welcome to the special board meeting for Sunrise School Division. My name is Paul Mangy. I'm their board chair, and I'm going to call our meeting to order. We are going to have stand up. There we go. And I'm going to ask Vice Chair Trustee Harris to read out our treaty acknowledgement.
We acknowledge the traditional land upon which Sunrise School Division resides as Treaty 1 territory. We honor our partnership with Canada's original peoples and respect the gifts of Indigenous history, culture, and language. We commit to moving forward in partnership with our communities in a spirit of collaboration and reconciliation.
Thanks, Trustee Harris. So we need to approve our agenda, and the agenda is the one thing on it. So be it resolved, the board approve our agenda. I need a mover and a seconder. Move. Who's not on?
Nobody's joined.
No one's joined except me, and Don's not on.
Okay, sorry.
Yes, I am.
Please. So we're just waiting to have the, I'm asking for the rest of the trustees to join the meeting, and then of course I'm the one that didn't join, so I needed to make sure that I had it done myself. Sarah, are we all on? Okay. So, you know what, just for the sake of moving this through, we're going to just do this by hand. So I'm going to ask again, where was I? About approval of the agenda. So we have our movers and seconders. Okay, moved by trustee Dent and seconded by trustee Boytson. So I'm just going to call by hand about going ahead and approving the agenda. Trustee Rowan? Yes? We'll get you an electronic copy. Are you okay by hand? Yes. Thank you. Trustee Smith? Trustee Nickel? Trustee Rowan? Trustee Boytson, Trustee Dent, Trustee Harris, Trustee Magna. So it passed 8-0. Thank you for that. We have some people here new to us, so I think that would be a great idea for us, and I know it's in the agenda, but I think that I always like doing this for the people that are watching online and for around, is for our trustees to introduce themselves. This is our board budget meeting. I'd like to have all of our trustees introduce themselves, introduce what ward you're from. Don't only use a number for your ward, but use the area that you're there, and then we'll ask our staff to go ahead and the staff to introduce themselves as well. So I'm going to try it with Trustee Harris.
I'm Trustee Harris from the Broken Head ward.
I'm Dustin Dent. I'm from Ward 4, which is the Oakbank ward.
Lorraine Boytson, and I'm from Enola and Hazelridge.
Hi there, I'm Melissa Rowan from the Oakbank area.
Don Nickel from Whitemouth, Reynolds, and Podolak-Bonnie.
Hi, I'm Alicia Smith. I'm Beausejour, Ward 5.
I'm Diane Rowland, Dugald, Ward 3.
Lars Spielberg, Assistant Superintendent.
Good evening. I'm Jody Thiessen, the Secretary Treasurer.
Trevor Reed. I'm currently one of the division principals with Sunrise, and I'm the incoming superintendent as of April the 1st of this year.
Oh, I'm Jennifer Baker, and I'm the superintendent's secretary.
I'm Sarah Scott, and I'm Executive Assistant to the Secretary, Treasurer, and the Trustees.
We also have in the background there Superintendent Timko. She's there with us. And do you know what, if you would you introduce yourselves, the people that are in the back? Melissa, can you keep your microphone on so that people can hear? And again, why I do this is live. So there's probably only about 100,000 people that are watching tonight, so don't be worried. But facetious, of course, but it is live and it is for record for us.
Kayla Breitsprecher. I am the assistant principal at Beausejour Early Years, and I also have children who attend school in this division.
I am Christy Husel, teacher with Sunrise and a community member of Beausejour and a parent that children in the school. I'm Christina Ernst-Genzer, and I'm a parent with 2 kids in the division. Beausejour. I'm Amanda Duke. I have 4 children going into the schools in Gillis. I'm also the vice chair of the PAC.
Well, thank you very much for doing that. I know that sometimes not the easiest, but thank you for doing that for us. I am going to introduce our, well, like she's already introduced herself, Secretary Thiessen, as she's going to take it over from here and walk us through the draft. And again, if you're, I hope everybody in the background, you've got a copy of it that are up at the front, and it's all yours, Jody.
Thank you, and thank you for everybody who's watching tonight and who will be watching this later on to learn what we've discussed tonight. And thank you for all who's attended in the gallery. It's nice to see new faces here, so it's fantastic. Tonight we want to present the 24-25 draft budget, and we've presented it in the form of a day in the life of the Sunrise students. I will advance the slide. We want to give special acknowledgement to the individuals who have all spent time working on this budget. We've introduced everybody tonight here present in the boardroom tonight. We just want to give special acknowledgement to Trustee Russ Reed. Unfortunately, he won't be able to pass the budget with us, but he spent a lot of time in meetings and providing us his opinion, giving representation and the voice of his constituents. And we want to give special acknowledgement to his efforts helping us put together this budget. So tonight we're going to go through the agenda. We're going to talk about the overview, the division priorities, what a day in the life of a Sunrise student looks like, our provincial funding this year, our overview of the budget, as well as what does the effect on the property tax or the mill rate, what will that look like, as well as budget highlights and summaries. And then we'll follow up with questions at the end. So to start it all off, when preparing the budget, we try and tie the budget into our Sunrise vision and our vision statement. So every student will have an opportunity to experience the joy of learning in Sunrise School Division in order to be better prepared for the future, with knowledge, skills, and values to achieve their own personal life goals. This is part of the board's strategic plan, and it'll be a message carried throughout the school year and beyond.
Jody, I'm going to jump in very quickly that people that are online is that if you have a question for us, you can email that as in any board meeting, and that can go to jody.thiessen@sunrisesd.ca, and we'll try to answer any of those questions at the end of the meeting, as well as we'll be accepting questions from the gallery. Sorry, Jody, I should have done that earlier.
Thank you. The Sunrise School Division operates 23 schools in Northeast Man area. This includes 13 public schools, 6 colony schools, as well as 4 adult learning centers. Our projected enrollment for 24-25 is just 1 student short of 4,900. It is an increase or an approximate increase of 13 students from last year's projections. When building the budget, we identified several priorities for the 24-25 budget. In the midst of continuing significant challenges for education in Manitoba, increased costs due to economic and post-pandemic factors create constraints in continuing to deliver high-quality education while respecting the parameters of the public funding. So some of these core priorities Sunrise has, it includes a focus on maintaining manageable class sizes, opportunity for students to continue quality programming, supports for students with exceptional needs, engaging with our communities to identify needs, as well as renewal of bus capital infrastructure, which really means trying to replace our aging bus fleet. Other priorities also includes investing in classroom and specialty teachers, ensuring appropriate student supports with clinical staffing, providing educational assistants who support and enhance in-class learning, maintaining program leader supports for curriculum implementation and instructional practice. With consideration to the priorities, what a typical day will begin for students, we have approximately 80% of our 4,799 students. They start their day by getting on one of the 91 bus routes that we have. The Sunrise buses travel approximately 2.79 or 79 million kilometers per year through regular runs and our field trips and all our extracurricular activities. Student safety is a top priority and is the reason Sunrise operates a full-service repair facility. The division also rotates and retires equipment on a regular schedule. When taking a look at our transportation department, we allocate $6.2 million to the transportation of our students, which is up and largely due to fuel price increases, as well as supply cost inflation, as well as wage equity. We do spend substantially more than other divisions on transporting pupils due to our large geographic area. One of the most notable challenges faced by our division. So when the students arrive at the school, our school division manages, cleans, maintains, and repairs over 850,000 square feet of facilities all across the school division. We also maintain parking lots and play structures and school grounds. Our maintenance department manages all facility-related capital projects across the division. The Sunrise 5-year capital plan is submitted to the province annually in April and is available on our school division website. Our maintenance department, the budget for 24-25 is approximately $7.8 million. That's up 7% from the prior year. Most of those costs are related to fixed costs, such as insurance and additional pressures on just general maintenance and trying to maintain the status quo services. We do try and find efficiencies by tapping into the Manitoba Efficiency Grant and updating LED lighting upgrades either inside buildings or on the outside exterior buildings, just to try and maintain our hydro operation costs. The school day, Sunrise employs approximately 383 teachers. We value maintaining manageable students to teacher ratios and appropriate class sizes to support student learning and achievement. The board cares that all students have equitable access to the necessary materials required to be successful for the students. The Sunrise Purchasing Department ensures optimal pricing for curriculum materials and supplies used in the classroom. Technology is a key component in the education system, and we strive to provide the best experience for the students by maintaining current hardware inventories and embracing new technologies. Sunrise rotates computer hardware replacement on a 5-year schedule. However, classroom technologies such as projectors and smartboards do not have a rotational replacement schedule. Investment in this area is required to keep our equipment current and relevant. And what really that has an impact on schools, every 5 years, schools will get a computer renewal upgrade. So as we rotate through the school division, every 5 years, your school will experience a new computer. Regular instruction, we call, under the function 100, what this is our expenses for payroll, the biggest increase in all our departments, and the increase to this function is due to supply cost inflation and wage equity costs. Regular instruction expenses also include our IT resources used by all students. Later on in the presentation, we'll also identify other additions to the budget. In this slide, it kind of touches a little bit on it about distance ed programs and increase for technology renewal programs, but later on in the presentation, we'll give more detail. Supporting our students, all students have contact with their student support service personnel. These are our guidance counselors, resource teachers, our psychologists, occupational therapists, physical therapists, social workers, as well as our mental health workers and speech and language pathologists, and of course our educational assistants. Our support staff work alongside classroom teachers with families who support student learning and achievement. This function of our budget is approximately $5.5 million this year. It's up 12%. Again, majority of this, the increase is due to wage equity costs as well as additional support staff in designated sites. We hope to add additional EAs to the budget, as well as student support teacher increase in the schools, as well as occupational therapy. Administration is a part of our budget. It It is to support and direct frontline staff. Sunrise administration leads the work in schools, curriculum implementation, student services, human resource, finance, and technology departments. Administrative costs are subject to a cap as directed by the province. This ensures efficiency and accountability regarding the costs. Included in administrative costs are the cost of the trustees, our senior administration, finance, human resource, technology, and their associated staff and the supplies, as well as liability insurance falls under our administration program. The overall cost for our administration function is $2.4 million, and Sunrise continues to find efficiencies to ensure we comply with provincial directives. Increase for current budget are once again results of anticipated wage cost increases, as well as liability insurance increases and professional membership increases. Again, the purchasing department will work with finance and try to secure our preferential pricing and reduce costs on goods and services where we can bulk buy when that is available. Areas that we did add to the budget was consideration for online payment system, as well as an electoral ward boundary review. And later on in the presentation, we'll touch a little bit on that. Our instructional support, Sunrise values divisional support to strengthen instructional strategies used to improve student learning and success in literacy, numeracy, active learning, languages, and music. We have 4.25 full-time equivalent program leaders working with teachers on high-quality responsive teaching and the use of relevant data to inform their practice towards success and student learning outcomes. The division also has a 0.6 full-time equivalency career development teacher who supports all schools in Sunrise. So additional areas of instructional support include our library staff, teaching materials, and professional development opportunities. The total budget for our instructional support would be $1.7 million. And again, cost increases are related to salaries and benefits for this department. We are also looking at increased time for a language program support. Our adult learning and community education department, those are functions 300 and 400 in our budget. Both of them are directly funded by provincial grants. So as the grants decrease, so would our expenses. Ideally, revenues must equal our expenses when it comes to these programs. These funds are from our province of Manitoba, from the Advanced Education, Skills and Immigration Department, as well as community education and services are undertaken by the division related to preparation for kindergarten or pre-kindergarten students, and it is also funded from the province. So funding in both areas saw a decrease in provincial funding this year. So this leads us into our provincial funding announcement. Over the period of, as we were preparing our budget, we all were anticipating some form of provincial funding announcement, and we did receive an announcement that the province is giving Sunrise a total of $586,000 in additional funding. $364,000 must be earmarked for a new nutrition funding program, which leaves the division a total of $222,000, or a 0.7% of new funding to be used on operational increases on a $75 million budget. So with this funding announcement, there were a number of school divisions that saw a range of funding from 1.7% all the way to 11.1% of funding, and Sunrise was on the bottom end of a total of 1.8. So in the end, an investment from the province for operational costs of $222,000 doesn't go a long way when it comes to an overall budget of $75 million. So with that being said, we had a lot of long discussions on how we best can utilize these funds. How this impacts us is how we created the budget. So looking at the budget overview, we took the funds from the province and said thank you very much. And we've applied and recognized that we now have to come up with a nutrition funding program or a nutrition program for the division.
Where our mill rate actually decreased by 13.5%. And that was a function, of course, of the provincial funding formula and some of the restrictions that the government, put in place in terms of a school division's ability to tax and generate revenue and set its own mill rate. And that type of fluctuation is difficult for any organization to absorb. But to avoid that, the school division would have had to forfeit roughly $2 million in grants from the province. The board last year made the responsible decision to, collect those $2 million of the grants from the province, but the net result of that was they couldn't set a mill rate to meet the needs across the division. So the overall net impact, this time last year was the board agreed and decided to move forward with a projected $670,000 deficit and delay many needed costs, around replacing budgets and other expenses, and put those off for another year. We've already heard that the funding to divisions ranges from 1.7 to 11.1%, and that Sunrise was at the bottom of that. When the province made their announcement, they directed school divisions, they instructed school divisions to make up the difference by going to the ratepayers. And that was clear language that came from the province. So that's the situation that the board finds themselves in terms of having to go to the ratepayers to make up some of these gaps. So we are seeing what I would call a rebound in the mill rate, moving from 2022 to 2023, still lower than what the ratepayers were paying in 2022. So that's a good thing again for everyone. And I'm also very confident that this is going to be the trend that we're going to see in most, if not all, school divisions across Manitoba, where Sunrise will not be alone in this type of rebound in the mill rate. I would say it's probably going to be seen in every school division in the province. And that'll become clear to us in the next coming weeks. But that I would be confident in that type of prediction. So when we look at that, I think what we need to look at is we need to look at a 2-year trend across school divisions in Manitoba. And we also need to look and compare that to what school divisions receive from the province. And I think, over the next couple of weeks, as that becomes clear across divisions, Sunrise is going to be, I'm very confident that Sunrise is going to be in a good place, that our 2-year trend will look very favorable against other school divisions, and our 2-year trend will look very favorable given what we got from the province. I think in 2 weeks we'll be able to come back to this table and very clearly demonstrate that the Board of Trustees made a very responsible and prudent decision when setting the mill rate as compared to other divisions across the province.
Thanks. Well said. So with the, your mic's on. With the increase in the mill rate, we recognize that over the last couple of 2 budgets, there were a number of things that the board wanted to accomplish. There were a number of requests that were received from schools and from senior administration, senior management, that were brought forward to the board. And over the last 2 budget years, some of these requests we couldn't complete due to the constraint of the past budget. This year, with the flexibility that we could consider increasing the mill rate, we were able to recognize and see how we could fund several requests. So on top of that, Sunrise is faced with fixed cost increase and growing enrollment, and these needs cannot be met through an increase from provincial funding of only $222,000. The division is considering an increase on the mill rate of 6.9%, increasing the mill rate from 11.52 to 12.32 allows the division to meet both operational and educational needs. It is important to the board that the service to students are maintained at a high level of quality, and the proposed budget allows the following items. And I'll go through a couple items, and Trevor will go through some other areas where he's more experienced on the education side. So first, there's been a number of requests over the years that we need to replace our aging fleet, our aging bus fleet. In the last couple of board meetings, it's been recognized we've had a number of buses with blown motors due to age, due to high mileage. And in this budget, we can find funding for at least a replacement of 7 buses. So we will be taking 7 buses out of the fleet and putting 7 new ones in. Which will help our aging fleet and put less strain on our repair and maintenance and in our shop. So it will take some time. Some of these bus manufacturers will take anywhere from 9 to 18 months to produce a bus. So the sooner we can get our orders in after the budget's passed, the sooner we can get some new buses on the roads picking up our students. The other request that's been made was a Power School support personnel. This is where we have a technician in our IT department that can help schools navigate through our student information software, as well as support with our parent portal, where parents can log in and see how the grades and the students are doing. So hiring a Power School support personnel or somebody with an application experience will help grow and develop the experience of using these products in our schools, and we can better utilize them. From there, we're anticipating there'll be some projected salary settlements in the future. Our neighboring school divisions, we've heard around us, are under contract negotiations. So it's no surprise that we will be facing that as well in the near future. So ensuring that we have adequate anticipation for some salary settlements in the future would be a financially a good responsibility brought on by the board. The other item is the electoral ward boundary review. This isn't a new, it's not to determine school catchments. This part is to determine that we have an equal share of representation in each ward. So just anticipating that we might take a review and look and make sure that we have equal representation to a trustee member. So that would be another good governance responsibility undertaken by the board. So there's provisions in the budget to make sure that we're taking care of that item anyways. There's been a request by some schools and some parent advisory councils that online payment system, if we could be looking into that for families, if they wish to make purchases or payments for field trips, for student activities, or purchases for fundraising, looking at an online payment system and see if it's feasible and doable within our school division if there's a need. That's something we pursue in the 24-25 budget, as well as looking at a technology renewal plan. So this would be looking at our current technologies in the classroom and taking a look and seeing how we can renew them on a responsible annual renewal plan, and taking a look to see what kind of provisions do we have to put forth in this current budget and going forward. So those are a couple things on the operational side.
A few more items on the educational side. We often hear right across the province of increased needs in our classrooms with our neediest learners, and Sunrise isn't immune to that. So we're happy to be able to share that we'd like to add 4 educational assistants to support our neediest learners in our schools. Related to that, we're also adding the equivalent of 1 resource teacher to schools across the division to support with the planning, with the neediest students in our division. We'll be adding a 0.2 occupational therapist. The occupational therapist is part of our clinical team, and our clinicians are largely responsible for doing required assessments on some of our students in the school division, so we can plan appropriately for them. 3.77 classroom teachers. That's related to increased enrollment, but not just increased enrollment over this past school year. There has been increased enrollment across the division in recent years that the board hasn't been able to address because of the provincial funding caps. And so we've seen a trend over the last number of years where enrollment in Sunrise is going up and staff hasn't been added to schools. So this year is a bit of a catch-up on that because the board has the ability to address those needs. At our colony schools, the high school students take most of their courses through distance ed, and that comes with a cost. And so like so many other costs, those are increasing, so there's increased support for distance ed courses for our Hatarian colony schools. One of the areas where our school division is growing quite significantly is in the French immersion language program. And so the board is going to increase a divisional time for divisional support for our language programs. And we saw a variety of requests from schools in a number of areas, whether it be field trips or literacy materials or materials in classrooms. And those were varied right across the division. So instead of addressing one area, the board will be making an additional contribution to a school-based decision-making funding. And schools will be able to apply that money in an area that's most important to them.
Thanks, Trevor. So we'll wrap it up with a bit of a summary. I don't think I'll get into too much detail. I think the bullets here kind of explain what they are. But to summarize what this budget means, this budget has been prepared recognizing the changes in provincial funding require the division to raise the special municipal levy. This would provide the school division with an additional $3.7 million of municipal revenues to address all the items that we discussed earlier, as well as the inflation factors or inflation costs that we've identified through the presentation tonight. In past budget years, the school division was limited on funding from the province and could not set its own mill rate to meet the needs of the division. Trevor touched on that, on the mill rate, identifying that there was a 13% drop on the mill rate, and we're bringing it back up by 6.9 this year. And that's due to the fact that we were restricted on how we can budget accordingly last year and prior years. In 23-24, the school division did deficit budget. To make a balanced budget, we had to pull $673,000 from our accumulated surplus to balance the budget. The board did not want to change any levels of service, so funds from accumulated surplus was needed to balance last year to make the budget balanced. This year we have to consider if we're staying status quo, we don't have that accumulated surplus to pull from. The fixed cost needs and capital requirements moving forward will only increase moving into future years. There will be additional requests for additional buses next year. We do anticipate there will be increases in inflation, and those needs will need to be met, and it can be met by starting now by increasing the mill rate. The school division across the province received, or school divisions across the province received 1.7% to 11.1%. Sunrise only received 1.8, and again, as presented earlier, 0.7 can only be used for operating costs. This year, all divisions were instructed by the province to tax appropriately or as needed. So to make up that difference between the gap of funding from the province to what we need, we were allowed to tax appropriately. Increasing in the 2024 special levy allows the division to meet the growing and operational and educational needs that we are facing in today's world. And that kind of concludes the summary. So if anybody has questions or comments.
Thanks very much, Jody and Trevor, for sharing that. So now's the time, certainly, that we open up the floor to questions from anybody from the public. Jody, can you check online? Has anybody sent in questions online to us? Because this is the time that we're looking for feedback. We will share that we did share part of this information with our municipalities 2 Mondays ago. They didn't get the whole detail they didn't get a detail of 6.9%, but they did get the detail with regard to what the province has given to Sunrise with the funding. They did find out that we basically got $220,000 on a $75 million budget, and so we shared that with them last Monday when we met with them with regard to all the municipalities get together. So if you have a question, we'd encourage you to come on up to the microphone, and why we do that is so that the other 10,000 people that are watching online can hear the question as well. I'm kidding, of course, but it is certainly for record so that people can go ahead and take a look and come back to it. So any questions from the public?
No questions through the emails, no.
So there's no questions online from the gallery. Any questions that you have? Any comments, any questions that you have? Did we answer things for you? Was there anything that we didn't, that you're not aware of? And again, there's the information.
I'm not quite sure whether I heard you right or not, but did you mention that you could ask questions afterwards and we could answer them? Is that what you said?
Didn't quite say it that way, Don, but that's a good way to go ahead and say it. So in the past, we've always allowed people to take a look at it. We are meeting again on Tuesday to listen to from feedback that people have given to us. The decision to pass a budget comes on March the 5th at our regular board meeting, so people have time to go ahead and do that. However, that if you want to go ahead and provide any questions on the handout or on the screen, want to go back to the screen, Jody, is that it does say budget@sunrisesd.ca. Send your comments or questions into that. That does come out to all 8 trustees that are here, and we will try to get that and get to that and answer your question. But thanks for mentioning that, Don. So if there are no questions, I will then go back to if there's no questions, is that we will adjourn our meeting. I'll give you another few minutes to see if anybody wants to ask questions, see if anybody wants to get to you, Jody. We'll give it a minute or two, and then we'll go from there. Okay, hearing that there are no questions, thank you to the group of you in the back there that has come out. Thank to the people online. Again, remember is that you can email Jody directly, or you can email budget@sunrisesd.ca for your comments and your questions. We are meeting next Tuesday to finalize, again, the comments that were made here is that this is what's proposed. This is not a finalized budget. And if you want to, all trustees' phone numbers are on the website. So if you need to pick up the phone and give any of the trustees a call with regard to the budget, certainly go ahead and do that. But thank you for coming out. Thank you for the work that our senior admin team has done on this. And it's kind of funny watching you in the background there, Kathy. It's kind of, we're not used to that, so that's a good one. But I'm going to adjourn our meeting, and thank you for being here. Thanks for the hard work.